Om Shanti. When I was reading today's Murli, I was suddenly thinking that, at least in this birth, whatever I can remember, from the time I can remember, as a little child until I came to Baba, probably I never even had the thought about who I am. So, you're always thinking about others. So, your whole focus is on others. What are they doing? How are they behaving? What is happening around you? You never ask yourself, who are you or what is your quality? You always think, okay, this one is like this, or that one is like that, or this situation is like this, or that problem is like that. But, the one who has to deal with everything, you never think about who you are. And this is why, all our attention has been on people and places and things and situations. And because it is Kali Yuga, so everything is getting worse and worse. And because our yoga is with that, so naturally, inside also the soul is feeling worse and worse. So this is how we were leading our lives. And then Baba says that, you have a man and buddhi. And your experience of life depends on your man buddhi sanskar. So just pull your buddhi from everything else and bring it to Baba. So bring it to the awareness that the remembrance of Baba. And when we came to Baba, we thought that we will learn yoga. But Baba says yad. Baba rarely uses this word yog. Baba says yad. Now you see, yog is a technical word, and you sometimes you feel, what is yoga? I don't know how to do yoga. But then Baba has made it so simple for us that it is not yoga. It is yad, it is remembrance. You have to remember your father. You are a soul and you remember your father. It is as simple as that. And so we know remembering, right? We know how to remember, don't we? So, and when you remember anybody or anything, you also position yourself there. So let's think about when you remember something from the age of when you were 8 or 9 years of physical age. Then when you are remembering that scene, then you also become a 9-year-old there. So you remember yourself as the 9-year-old in that scene. So Baba says, remembrance is always about, the one you remember and your consciousness while you're remembering that. So when you remember your college friends, then you also remember yourself as a college student. So it's not just that you remember somebody and you're not in that scene. You are always in that scene. And then in that scene, you are a different version of you. Yes, and then if you remember, so have you seen that if you spend a lot of time remembering your college days or your some other time in your life, then that sanskar which corresponded to that time starts getting activated. So there is this one brother, and he's a young brother, and he was yesterday telling me that Didi, when I was in class 10th, I had a very sharp memory, and I had really good concentration, and I was very disciplined, and I was very alert and aware, and I was a gem, he told me. And then he said, now, I'm very wasted. And he said that, now I want to be like that again. But, when I think about, when I just sit and think, so I was this person, so it kind of charges me. I just go back to that time when I was in standard 10th, and I was this disciplined, person with full concentration, lot of dedication. So it takes me to that, I don't know how that happens, but I just feel like that part of me gets activated. And he says that even nowadays, when I study, I prepare, I do that, and I go to that awareness when I was in class 10th. So I told him, you see that if you can, so the power of remembrance, but then why don't you remember your capacity as a point of light? So when you are a point of light, you can just merge everything else and come to that state of peace. So as a soul, you're just a point of light and just peace. And then when you remember Baba, then you understand that I'm Baba's child, and Baba is the ocean of all virtues, all powers. Baba has all the truth inside him. So then when you remember Baba, you can also see yourself as Baba's child and see yourself as a reflection of those qualities. So you see, it is so simple to remember, is it not? So remembrance is just taking your awareness to Baba and seeing Baba, and also seeing yourself as Baba's child, because remembrance, or in remembrance, you also have to position yourself. So when I'm remembering Baba, I'm remembering my father, and I, the child, am sitting there. And my Baba is the ocean of virtues, powers, and I'm also like him. And then we are having a communication. So that's remembrance. So Baba says today that this remembrance is like accumulating charity, Punya. So this word Punya is very interesting because it is used in Bharat, but there is no accurate English translation of this word. So Baba says, you will earn Punya Karam by remembering me. Now, how do we earn Punya Karam by remembering Baba? Because Punya Karam is the Karam which gives you the power and the strength to settle whatever obstacles come in your way. Now, when you remember Baba, and in that remembrance you fill yourself with strength, with peace, with love, with virtues, with powers, then obviously you are in a better position to settle the karmic accounts that come your way. Yes, so just like, when you remember somebody, so maybe you're back from office and you're just sitting and remembering your boss who was shouting at you all day and was very rude with you, then what happens? That remembrance suddenly depletes your energy, does it not? So you suddenly feel like you cannot get up and you've had a bad day, and so it's all happening inside, but it really depletes you physically and emotionally and mentally and every which way. So Baba says, similarly, when you sit and remember me, and do you understand that we have never done this before Gyan? So sitting and consciously remembering Baba, so we never remembered anybody. So we just went with whatever came to our mind. We just flew with those thoughts. Something triggered something, we did that. But now we are choosing, we are choosing our thoughts, we are choosing to remember Baba. And this is something new. This is not something that we have done. So we have to, take breaks. And first is preparatory remembrance, which is in the morning. So early in the morning, I have to sit and consciously come to the awareness, unplug my attention from everything around. So I have this habit of thinking about what's going on and who is saying what and who is doing what. But from all that, you have to unplug your attention and bring to who you are and see yourself as a small star of light, child of Baba, and then take your awareness to Baba, who is, this constant point of light and an ocean in everything. And then you have to remember Baba's words. So, what is Baba inspiring you to do? So, in that remembrance, you not only get virtues and powers and love, but you also get inspiration, because Baba is every day through the Murli inspiring us. And when I sit in remembrance of Baba, I can hear the inspirations also. So have you seen that when you remember a person from the past, you can also access their voice and you can access their message and how they talk and what they are telling you, can't you? So you remember somebody from 10 years back, you can see, you can feel that what are they talking and what are they telling you. So Baba says, similarly in this remembrance, you feel loved, you feel protected, you get power, but you also receive, this thing called inspiration. And in remembrance of Baba, you feel inspired by what Baba wants you to do and how Baba sees the world and what Baba thinks your attitude towards the world should be. And Baba says, with these inspirations, with this power, and then there is also, strength, and Baba fills you with something called immense strength to deal with whatever is going to come your way. So that's like an in advance filling of the soul, so that you can be smooth on your journey in the day. So Baba says, do all of this, and then what happens is, when you remember Baba, Baba says this is like an account of charity. This is like a Punya ka khata which you are accumulating. And then when things come your way, when there are obstacles, still you are not, they are not able to stop you, A. And second is, they are not able to influence you. And then third is, they are not able to stop you from doing what Baba inspired you to do. So first thing is, when the obstacle comes, it cannot destabilize me, it cannot disturb me. Second thing is, it cannot inspire me to do something wrong, something, make another pap karma. And third is, I can focus on, doing the work that Baba wants me to do in Sangam Yuga. So let's take a situation. So let's take a situation where I have a physical condition during the day, but so maybe I'm going through a physical illness and there is a lot of pain. But if I have, before that pain even arrives, if I have accumulated this account, then I will be able to sit in Baba's remembrance despite the pain in Amrit Vela. And I will be able to, not get affected by the pain, not cry, not shout, not engage in bad behavior. And the third thing is, I will be able to serve however much I can. So, if there is physical pain, you can serve through the mind, you can serve through words, you can do office work also while laying down, you can do a lot of things. But Baba says, you will be able to do all of that if you have this punya karma with you. And the Punya karma basically is remembrance of Baba and accumulating that remembrance. And if I have not done that work, then that karmic account will overwhelm me and it will stop me from doing any further, good karma. That is one thing. And the second thing, it will also make me engage in bad karma. But you know what? Another thing is, when we are able to remember Baba and do good karma, it makes us very happy, because happiness is the product of good karma. Now, when you are sitting idle, lying in bed, doing nothing, then you get more miserable day by day. But if you are accumulating the power of remembrance, and then you're settling those accounts and you're also doing productive work, then you will get happier and happier. So this is also there. But the thing is, you don't have to wait until you hit the bed. So, some people just think that when we are ill, when there is a problem, then we will accumulate punya karma. No. The time to earn and accumulate is the time which is favorable. You cannot earn and accumulate in unfavorable circumstances. You can spend and relax in unfavorable circumstances. But you have to earn and accumulate in favorable circumstances. And when the circumstances are favorable, then it is an act of understanding, it is an act of buddhi, that I take the decision that I have to accumulate yoga power. And when things are all favorable and everything is okay, then mostly people waste their time, waste their money, waste their thoughts. So when there is time, health, money, you waste it, you use it on pleasures. But Baba says, when you invest your energy, thought, time, money into doing punya karma, when things are favorable, then this stock will help you to keep that account of punya karma going and that happiness ensured when there are unfavorable circumstances. And then Baba, in a whole section today in the Murli, describes that I'm not just a point. So my form is a point. So just like you have a form, so the point, so the soul looks like a point. But then I'm not just what I look like. So is anybody what they look like just like that? No. So there are other dimensions to me. So I have a name, I have qualities, I have an address, I have an attitude, I have what I tell you. So I am this whole being. And when you remember me, you have to remember me. You don't have to just remember my face. So Baba's face is just a point. But when you remember somebody, do you just remember the form, or you remember the form plus the personality? So you remember how they look and how they are. So Baba says, this is why when you remember me, it's not just that you just remember a point and I'm nothing more than a point, because this is the biggest mistake that everybody makes. So people just think that Baba is a point and they just remember a point, but Baba is not a point. Baba is a conscious point of light, ocean of virtues, my father, having this loveful attitude towards me, benevolent attitude towards me. So I have to remember Baba in his totality. So Baba is this being of light in the world of light, and he looks like a point, but he is full of this attitude of love for me and care for me and protection for me, and he has this hope that I should be elevated, and he's resonating, this whole, he's the ocean, and when I make contact with him, I can feel the love and the peace and the happiness and the purity of Baba. So Baba says that you must understand me. It's not about looking at a point and just focusing on a point. It's something, it's got something to understand. So, Baba says that just like when you remember human beings, you don't just remember their face, you remember their personality. So, I also am a personality. And you have to remember my face, which is a point, a beautiful star, but that star has this personality. Yes, and I will tell you one thing. So, there was this person who was sharing this experience with me, and he said that there is this person who is his cousin, and he was born with some defect in the body. So he had this problem where his face was mutilated, and his face was not straight. His face had so many curves and twists, and his body also had all of that. And then he told me that when I looked at him the first time, then I couldn't identify with him. So I just felt like we are very different and probably we cannot connect. But when I started talking to him and when I started connecting with him, I felt like he's the wisest, the sweetest people on earth, and that I have better connection with him than any of my other cousins. And then he said that, Didi, when I think about him, I think about him as a person. When I saw him, I just saw the face. So you see, there is a difference between seeing a face and knowing a person. And you see that when he knows the person, he remembers that person with the same face, but with a very different experience, because now he has connected on a different level with him. So Baba says, I am not just this face, this point of light. I am this whole ocean of virtues and powers, and I'm your father. I'm filled with the feelings of a father, the feelings of care, the feelings that I want to uplift you, and I have so much hope in you, and I have so much faith in you. So Baba says, connect with me as I am. So understand who I am and connect with me as I am. And Baba says, every day in the Murli we are getting points, and those points are what make you realize what kind of a point I am. And the more you keep listening to the Murli, the closer you get to the understanding of who I am and what am I like. And that relationship grows. And then the more you understand me, the more power you get through this remembrance. Because the more you know somebody, the more you have a relationship with somebody, the deeper the connection is, the more power you can draw from them. Is it not? Yes. So if you know somebody superficially, and then you know somebody deeply, and then you know that this person is capable of a lot of care and love, and so you can draw that from them. But when you don't know somebody that well, you cannot draw that from them. So Baba says, you have to understand me properly, remember me, and that will enable you to accumulate an account of charity, which will help you settle your accounts when they come, and also keep accumulating good karma, because you are in your power, in your sensibility, and then your karmic balance will get better and better. So this is something. And then Baba says, this is what you do individually, but then you also have to come together to remove the roof of sorrow from this world. So there is individual practice and then there is collective effort. Yes, so you also have to, so one thing is you practice individually, that remembering Baba, accumulating good karma, being in your power, settling accounts, creating good karma wherever you go, whatever time you're in. And also it's important that you become a part of this whole yajna. So Baba is doing this task. Baba has come from the soul world and he has prepared this whole structure, which is doing the work of removing the roof of sorrow from the world. So Baba's centers, Madhuban, everything is a part of this structure which is doing the work of removing the roof of sorrow from the world. And Baba says, you also have to lend your shoulder to that. So it's not like, I just focus on individual practice and I don't contribute to the yajna in any manner. So this whole work, it needs energy, it needs thought, it needs money. And Baba says that I must also do something to help this whole task of removing the roof of sorrow from the world. And Baba says, you must become instruments for helping the centers do their job. Because nothing in the world is done without effort. So without effort, nothing happens. So there is a lot of time, energy, technical expertise, money, infrastructure going into this big work that's being done. Even this when these courses are conducted and all this education is given, then there are whole centers involved, there are people involved, there are resources involved. So Baba says, if only you practice, if you only focused on individual practice, how would that work? You also have to contribute to the yajna. So one thing is we offer bhog to Baba, but also we should make some contribution from our time, thought, salary to the running of the centers. So we take so much sustenance from Baba's yajna, and Baba has created this whole structure which is doing this great work of removing the roof of sorrow from the world. So I must also lend my hand in it, cooperate with it. So this is also another part of Baba's Srimad today, which Baba is giving. So Baba says, individually you have to pay a lot of attention to remembrance and accurate remembrance, because you must understand who Baba is, what is he like, and then remember. And collectively you have to be a part of the yajna. You have to contribute to the yajna, contribute to this big task which Baba is doing through his children and centers. So this is what Baba is saying. And then Baba says that, so we listen to the Murli and we understand the importance of practice, and we have knowledge of the time. We know Baba, we know how to remember Baba. And it's not like we don't have the intention to do it, because if we didn't have the intention, we wouldn't be sitting here, right? So obviously everybody has the intention to understand knowledge and then do what Baba is saying. But then Baba says that even though you children have the imperishable reward of knowledge, so even though I have given you the understanding of everything, instead of accumulating in their account of charity, some of you finish that account. And why is this? So why is it that instead of just having credit all along, why do some children they finish their account also? They go from, if they came here, instead of rising, they fall down. So why does that happen? So Baba says, because they commit sins in between performing the charitable act. Even though they are enlightened souls, they become influenced by bad company and thereby commit sins. So, this knowledge that Baba is giving has to be held in awareness, right? And when there is influence of bad company, then that awareness is lost and you start performing sins. Yes? So Baba inspires us for purity, for loveful behavior, for spiritual attitude. And then when you are in the company of body conscious souls, what happens is you start feeling that lust is natural, anger is natural, ego is natural. Don't you? Yes? So I will tell you one thing. So there is this lady, and she came and told me that, Didi, I have this son who is 4 years of age, and we were sitting on the dining table and eating, and then I told my son, go get me some salt from the kitchen. And then he just sat there, and he sat like his father. He just slouched on the chair and he said, Sunita, namak lana. So Sunita is the name of the house help, and then he just did it like his father and he copied it and he said, Sunita, namak lana. And then I was so appalled by that. I thought, my children don't know how to get up and fetch salt. What am I teaching them? And so I've come here. So I said, first the father has to stop Sunita Namaklana. Otherwise the child will not stop this. So the father has to learn to get up and get salt. So then the child will learn. So you see that company is such a big influence. So even if it's the company of the parents, so Baba is teaching us what is at the other end of the spectrum. So love, respect, purity, yes, consistent behavior, effort. And in this world there is the opposite. There is lust, there is anger, there is ego, attachment, greed. And then Baba says that when I'm moving you to this platform, then what happens is you get influenced by the company of others, by bad company. And you see that it's not just people. And so, see, when you talk about parents and siblings, you always feel that, I must copy my parents or I must be like my siblings. But then even they are under the influence of vices. So Baba says, if you allow anybody to have power over you through this sense of relationship. So when you think that this is my father, this is my mother, I'm obliged to be like them, or my family members, even then it becomes a problem, because nobody is following Srimad. They are all embodiments of lust, anger, ego, attachment and greed. So Baba says you have to be very clear in your inner world that I am a soul and I have to be like Baba, not like others. And this is an aspect of buddhi. You cannot actually dissociate yourself from relationships around you, can you? You have to live in the society, you have to live in the family. So it's an act of buddhi. Yes, so you don't allow their influence to come on you. And this having been said, I think this is the least of problems today. Because these days we are not even looking at family members and people around us. All our attention is on the phone. So, that phone is giving you a lot of company, and then there are sights and belief systems and ideas and sounds and everything that is subtly entering into your world. So, do you know that when you watch something, even if it's a documentary, it is giving you a belief system? There is a belief system behind it. So, every creator is passing on their belief system through their creative instruments. So Baba says that, and that is all bad company, because nobody in the world is inspiring you for purity and peace and spiritual love. They are all inspiring you for righteous lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed. Yes, so nowadays, the boundaries are slowly blurring, and what was not right to engage in the lustful process earlier, now it's all getting, so people are just pushing the boundaries every day and saying that this kind of an act of lust is now normal, and they are defending it and propagating it and preaching it. So, and anger is also being justified at so many levels, and then there is violence which you see so much that you also, you stop reacting to that violence. You feel like violence is so normal and natural, or you feel that, body shaming or slamming or, shaming people for who they are is so normal and natural, because that is what people are doing all day these days. So Baba says you don't have to allow these gadgets, and it's not just a gadget, it's a bomb, it's a it's a time bomb. And Baba says you don't allow that to just damage everything inside you. So Baba says, be very aware of bad company. And bad company is not just people, it is this media, social media. Everything is bad company. Everything is inspiring you to be body conscious. And then Baba says, bad company also means food. So, because food influences the mind. So if you are eating food that is rajasic or tamasic, or if you are eating food prepared by souls who are very body conscious, then that food will also influence your thoughts and influence your buddhi and your state of mind. So there are lots of things that come in bad company. So Baba says you have to take a very good care of the company you are in. And in Hindi it is called Sang ki Samhal. And the opposite is called Sang Dosh. So when there is Sang Dosh, then what happens is Sang has rang, so company colors. And when you're colored by that company, who is colored by that company? The buddhi. Then the buddhi suddenly loses all the sense of right and wrong and good and bad and true and untrue, which it had gathered through the Sankarang of Baba. So Baba says, just like my remembrance can make your buddhi very good and very true in judgment, similarly the Sankarang of bad company can just finish that whole effect, and on top of it make you discern, decide in a very vicious way, and make you engage in karma which makes you fall down like anything. And then Baba says, instead of accumulating, what are you doing? You're reading the Murli, understanding the Murli in the morning, and then all day you are in bad company, and then you are doing that which is even worse than what you did before Gyan. Because now you also have the ego that I know a lot. And then what happens is, and people around you also are, just getting this idea that this is how BKs are, and so I don't want to be a BK. So, saying something, doing something. So this gives a very bad idea to people around you. And Baba says this is all that gets added to your account of sin, because you are not only yourself falling, but you are also discouraging others from having love for Baba. And then Baba says you become a complete sinner. So be very wary of the influence of bad company. So first thing is you fill yourself with Baba's remembrance and strength. You participate in the collective seva. And the third thing is be very wary of influence of bad company, because once the influence is there, you don't even realize there is an influence. You become so influenced that your buddhi cannot discern that this is indeed bad influence. Okay? Om Shanti.